Hello, good morning, student. Welcome back with your chemistry teacher Rajkumar Jupa sir, and today I bring you in front of a new lesson, solid state 12th class chemistry. Today we will discuss about the first chapter, solid state. The first question arises here: what is the solid? The substance that has the definite shape that has definite shape and definite volume, that is known as a solid. Why some substance exists as a solid? The substance is exist as a solid due to the two factors. First is the thermal energy, second is the intermolecular force. These are the two factors that are responsible for the state of this substance. Just like first is the thermal energy. Thermal energy is due to the temperature, and it keeps the constituent particle away from each other. It means it change solid to liquid, liquid to gas. And second is the intramolecular force, which holds the constituent particle together. That is known as the intramolecular force. And these two factors are opposing to each other. Just like a solid is changed to liquid, liquid is changed to the gas. When this takes place, when there is an increase in the thermal energy, a solid change to liquid and liquid change to gas. While there is an increase in the intramolecular force of attraction, a gas change to liquid and liquid change to solid. Intermolecular force. Now these two factors are inversely proportional to each other. Just like thermal energy inversely proportional to the intermolecular force. Solid has some general characteristics. Just like solid is rigid, solid is hard, it has the strong intramolecular force of attraction, it is non-compressible, and it has the high melting and boiling point. These factors is due to its intramolecular force of attraction. Now the solids are of the two types. First is the crystalline solid and second is the amorphous solid. Now first we discuss about the crystalline solid. Crystalline solid. Crystalline solids are those solids whose constituent particles are arranged in a definite geometry, that are known as the crystalline solid. Just like example is sodium chloride, potassium chloride, hydrogen, chlorine, oxygen, nitrogens. They are of the crystalline solid because their constituent particles are short as well as the long range ordered. On the other hand, second type of solid that we discuss is the amorphous solid. Amorphous solids are those solids whose constituent particles are not arranged in a definite geometry. They are irregularly arranged. Just like example is the wood, plastic, glass, rubber, etc. These are the example of amorphous solids. An example of crystalline solid is sodium chloride, potassium chloride, oxygen, chlorine, nitrogen, etc. These are some crystalline solids. Now a question is asked number of times, what is the basic difference between the crystalline solid and the amorphous solid? Now first factor that we discuss with you, the arrangement of the constituent particle. Crystalline solid has the well arrangement of the constituent particle. They are short as well as the long range order. And amorphous solids are the not arranged in the definite arrangement of the constituent particle, and they are always short range ordered. After this we will discuss second point, that is the melting point and boiling point. Melting and boiling point of the crystalline solid is high due to the strong intramolecular force of attraction, and amorphous solid has a gradual melting of the constituent particles, or the amorphous solid, they are gradually melts. These are melt at a sharp point. Before this they cannot melt, and but in case of the amorphous solid they start melting gradually. One sided of the portion they start to melt, another side remain the solid. Next factor is the property is the isotropy and anisotropy. Next property that we discuss, isotropy and anisotropy. Amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. Isotropic means same in property. It means just like the refractive index, melting points, and energy atomizations, all these are the same in all the directions. But in case of the crystalline solids, their refractive index all are different in different directions, because different particles are come across the crystalline solids. Amorphous solids are isotropic in nature, crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature. Now next property, cutting with knife. Cutting. Crystalline solids gives a sharp cut, but amorphous solids are give you the rough cleavage. Its cleavage is smooth, its cleavage is rough. Now next property is the heat of fusion. Crystalline solid has a high heat of fusion, amorphous solid has the low heat of fusion. In turn you can say amorphous solids are the pseudo solid. But crystalline solids are the true solids. Number of time a question is asked, what is pseudo solid? Pseudo solid means fast solids that has show the property of the solids but they are not actually solids. A number of time question is asked that in the old window panes of the buildings, they are thick at the base and thin at the top, because the glass is amorphous solids and they have tendency to flow slowly. That's why the base become thick and the top become thin. Now there is a number of uses daily life of the amorphous solid. Amorphous solid just like the cup, basket, rubber, these are the daily life uses of the amorphous solid. Now students, after this we will study about the classification of the crystalline solids. Now crystalline solids are classified into the four classes: ionic solid, molecular solid, covalent solid and metallic solid on the basis of their constituent particles. Now first we will discuss about the ionic solids. Ionic solids are those solids in which the constituent particles are ions. Just like example is sodium chloride, potassium chloride, etc. These are the ionic solids because they are held together by the strong electrostatic force of attractions are present between the ions. Just like this, they are arranged. A strong intramolecular electrostatic force is present between them. And ionic solids has the high melting and boiling points, and these are the good conductor of electricity in the molten state. In the solid state, they do not conduct the electricity, and they are soluble in the polar solvents just like the water. Now the second type of the crystalline solid is the molecular solids. The molecular solids in which the constituent particles are the molecules. Now they are further classified into the three class: polar solids, non-polar solid, and hydrogen bonding. First we discuss about the polar solid. The polar solid in which the constituent particles are polar in nature, just like hydrochloric acid, sulfur dioxide, water, etc. These are the example of the polar solids. The molecules are polar in nature. They are held together by the strong intermolecular force, and their melting and boiling points are less than that of these ionic solids, but their melting and boiling points are moderate, and they conduct the electricity. Now second type of the solid in the molecular solid is the non-polar molecular solids, in which the constituent particles are non-polar in nature, just like the hydrogen, oxygen, chlorine, nitrogen, etc. These are the non-polar in nature. They have the weak intramolecular force of attractions, just like the London forces or momentary forces, and their melting and boiling point is low than that of these polar molecular solids. Third type of the molecular solids are the hydrogen bonded molecular solids. In that the constituent particles are held together by means of the hydrogen bonding. Just like example is ammonia and water, hydrogen fluoride, etc. In these the constituent particles have the intramolecular hydrogen bonding, just like this. This is the hydrogen bonding is present. Similarly, in case of HF, hydrogen bonding is present. Their melting and boiling point is more than that of these non-polar molecular solids. They are slightly polar in nature due to the electrostatic difference between the two ions. They are slightly polar in nature. And third type of the solid is the covalent solids, and it is also known as the network solids. The constituent particles of the covalent solids and the network solids are the carbon. And the example of this network of covalent solids are diamond, and second is graphite. These are the example of two network solids. First we will discuss about the diamond. Diamond is made up of the carbon, and in that carbon is in sp3 hybridization state. Each carbon is joined to the four another carbon atoms, and it forms a network of the solids, and there is no gap is present between the layers, so its melting and boiling point is very high. And diamond is a bad conductor of electricity because it has no free electrons. It is tetrahedral in structures. On the other hand, graphite has the layered structure. It has the hexagon type structure, and In that the carbon atom is sp2 hybridized. And there is a 3 electron is present in the unhybridized p orbital, and the gap between the layers is present, so it is slippery in nature and it is used as a lubricant in the heavy machines and is a good conductor of electricity due to the presence of these free electrons. Now, fourth type of the crystalline solid is the metallic solids, in which the constituent particles are metals, and these are held together by means of the metallic bond. These positively charged metal atoms are present in the sea of free electrons. This is known as the carenals. This positively charged body is known as carenal. Cation is known as a carenals. This has very high melting and boiling points, and these are the good conductor of electricity due to the presence of this free electron. When you apply a potential difference, cations are moved towards the negative pole and electrons are moved towards the positive pole. These are the four types of the crystalline solids we classify on the basis of their constituent particle. Hello student, let us study crystal lattice and unit cell. Today, a point in space, this is known as a lattice point. What is lattice point? A atom, ion, molecule may be considered as a lattice point. When we repeat this lattice point in space, we get two-dimensional arrangement, and when this repeated over and over, we get the three-dimensional arrangement of the constituent particle. Then we connect this lattice point with the help of the lines. These are also maybe the bonds, this way. This is the two-dimensional arrangement of the unit cell. We can convert this two-dimensional into the three-dimensional, this way. This is the three-dimensional arrangement of the crystal lattice. The three-dimensional arrangement of the constituent particle is known as the crystal lattice. And the smallest portion of this crystal lattice is known as the unit cell. This is the crystal lattice, and three-dimensional portion of this crystal lattice, that I bring it out, this is known as a unit cell. This is a unit cell. What is the unit cell? The smallest portion of a crystal lattice in three-dimensional space is called unit cell. Now, unit cell has 6 parameters. Parameters of the unit cell. Unit cell has 6 parameters. 3 sides and 3 angles. Sides A, B, C, angle is alpha, beta, and gamma. This is the unit cell. These are the three sides, A, B and C. Three angles, alpha, beta and gamma. This can be understood as, these are the three sides, A, B and C. Angles is alpha, beta and gamma. These are the angles. How many parameters of a unit cell? A unit cell has 6 parameters, 3 sides and 3 angles. On the behalf of the parameters, the unit cells are of the 7 types. We can write here, on the basis of parameters, the unit cells are of the 7 types. C, Tom, Hart. We can remember why this. C stand for cubic, T stand for tetragonal, orthorhombic, monoclinic, hexagonal, rhombohedral, and 7th one is the triclinic. This is the 7 type of the unit cells on the basis of their parameters. Now, a number of times the question is asked, a name is given, the examiner will ask the parameters, and sometime parameters are given, examiner will ask you the what kind of unit cell is this. First of all, we will talk about the cubic, in that all sides are equal, A equal to B equal to C. The all sides are equal and all angles are of 90 degree. Alpha, beta, gamma, and these all are of the 90 degree. Example of this kind of the unit cell is the copper or sodium chloride. In that, the tetragonal second type of the unit cell is the tetragonal, in that A is equal to B but B not equal to C, and the angles are alpha is equal to beta is equal to gamma, that is equal to 90 degree. The example of tetragonal unit cell is white tin and tin oxide. These are the example. And orthorhombic, that is A not equal to B not equal to C, and their angles are alpha, beta, gamma equal to 90 degree. What is the example of orthorhombic units cell? That is potassium nitrate and potassium sulfate. These are the example of orthorhombic unit cell. So you can up to this easily remember, A is equal to B equal to C, then we move that side, B not equal to C, after this A not equal to B, A not equal to B not equal to C, angle remain the same for all these three, alpha, beta, gamma is equal to 90 degree. And when we move on the monoclinic unit cell, we will repeat the same, that alpha not equal to beta, A is not equal to B not equal to C, and angle for this alpha, gamma 90 degree, alpha is equal to gamma is equal to 90 degree, but beta is not equal to 90 degree. What is the example of monoclinic unit cell? Monoclinic sulfur, monoclinic sulfur. is the example of monoclinic unit cell. After this I repeat the same, I will move back. A is equal to B not equal to C. This is their sides, and what will be the angle in the hexagonal unit cell? Alpha beta 90, alpha beta is equal to 90 degree. One of the angle, just like gamma, is equal to 120 degree. What is the example? Graphite is the example for hexagonal unit cell, because graphite has the hexagonal unit cell in their structure. After this, rhombohedral, we will move back. A is equal to B equal to C, and their angles are for the rhombohedral is alpha beta gamma not equal to 90 degree. Alpha beta gamma equivalent, but these are not equal to 90 degree. This is the parameters for the rhombohedral unit cell, and the example of the rhombohedral unit cell is the sodium nitrate and hydrochloride. Sodium nitrate and hydrochloride. The last is the most unsymmetrical unit cell. A not equal to C, alpha not equal to beta, gamma not equal to 90 degree. Alpha, beta, gamma not equal to each other, these are not also equal to 90 degree. The example of most unsymmetrical unit cell is copper sulfate pentahydrate is the example of triclinic. Copper sulfate pentahydrates is the example of triclinic unit cells. Student, this is the classification of the unit cell on the behalf of parameters. A normal unit cell has 6 parameters. Say it carefully. 3 sides, 3 angles, and on the behalf of this is 7 type of the unit cells. This is right as C, Tom, heart, cubic, tetragonal, orthorhombic, monoclinic, hexagonal, rhombohedral, and triclinic. I hope you are able to remember all these type of the unit cell on the basis of parameters. Now after this we will classify the unit cell on the basis of position of the constituent particle. On the basis of position of constituent particle. Of unit cell on the basis of position of constituent particle. On the basis of constituent particle, a unit cell of the 2 type, simple, that is known as the primitive unit cell, and complex non-primitive unit cell. First is the simple unit cell, second is the complex, or you can say non-primitive unit cell. Non-primitive unit cell. This is the primitive unit cell. What is the simple and primitive unit cell? The unit cell in which the constituent particles are only present at the corner. Now see this unit cell. In that the constituent particles, atoms, are present only at the corner. Okay, and the contribution of atom at the corner is 1/8 at one corner. How many corners are there? there is a 8 corners. The total number of atom present in the simple unit cell is 1. After this we will study about the non-primitive unit cell. What is non-primitive unit cell? The unit cell in which the constituent particle present at the corner and elsewhere in the body, that is known as non-primitive unit cell. And these non-primitive unit cells are of the 3 types. First is the face-centered unit cell. In the face-centered unit cell, constituent particles are present at the corner and on each face. See, this is the unit cell. The constituent particles are present at the corner. This is the corners and each face. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 faces. How many faces of a unit cell? Of a cube? 6 faces. Now how many atoms are present? What is the contribution of the atom in the crystal lattice? The atom present at the corner, it has contribution 1/8, and the atom present at the face, it has contribution 1/2. This is present at the face and this is present at the corner. Now how many atoms are present in the unit cell? So 1/8 into 8, that is equal to 1. It means atom present at the corner is 1 and face, that is equal to 1/2. How many faces are there? 6 faces. 3. The total number of the atoms are 3 plus 1, that is equal to the 4. In face-centered unit cell, these are 4 atoms are present. Now after this we will study in that the second type of unit cell in non-primitive unit cell is end-centered unit cell. In end-centered unit cell, the constituent particle present at the corner and alternate phase. Now this is present at the corner and alternate phase is at that one phase, this is blank, and on this phase, this is the alternate phase. Now the contribution is 1/8 at the corner and 1/2 at the face. How many atoms are present in this unit cell? End-centered unit cell, 1/8 at the corner. How many corners are there? 8. That is equal to 1. And 1/2. How many faces are there? Opposite faces 2. It means 1. Total number of atoms are 2. Now third type of the unit cell is the body-centered unit cell. Body-centered unit cell. Now in body-centered unit cell, the constituent particles are present at the corner and center of the body. That is known as the body-centered unit cell. This is the unit cell in front of you. This is constituent particle present at the corner and one is present in the body center. This is this way. Now how many atoms are present? 1/8 at the 1/8 at corner and one complete end in the body. How many atoms? 1/8 into 8, that is equal to 1, and 1 present in the body. 1 plus 1, 2. The total number of atoms present in the body centered unit cell is the 2. In this part of the classification of the unit cell, you learn that the constituent particles are present at the corner and elsewhere in the body, that is the non-primitive unit cell, and this is quite important, and the numerical question will be asked on the basis of these positions of the atom. Thank you, students, and we will continue our lecture in the next video. Till then, you will learn all these things. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.